Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is finally here! It is the grand finals of eGTV Hearthstone League Season 1. The road to Northrend, finally, it is coming to an end. It is going to be a very interesting one for sure. We have been witnessing this for such a long time. Cycle 1, Cycle 2, but here we are, where it matters the most, the grand finals, the granddaddy of them all. And we have King Crea and Prince of RNG, WenSushi. These two guys, they fought it out in cycle number 1, and they had a pretty good showing, making it into a 2 best out of 5s. But this time around, it is, of course, a best out of 7. And if you think about it, it's slightly rotated around because we have actually Crea coming out from the loser's bracket, and we have WenSushi coming in from the winner's bracket. That means that if Crea wants to take this home, he has to win 2 best out of 7s. As for WenSushi, on the other hand, if he wins 1, that's it. He goes home the proud winner. He becomes the grand final winner. First place, by the way, is going to be going home with 300 SGD. Second with 150. Third with 80. And fourth with 50. And we already know who is third and fourth already. Of course, Arthur there taking 4th place, as well as Celador in 3rd place with the 80 SGD. So, are you guys ready? Katips, my co-caster, are you ready, man?
I am ready. Let's get it on.
All right, let's get this show started because this is a pretty interesting matchup. I mean, I'm about to cry because this is crazy. We've been such a long journey. We're finally here for the grand finals. It is full-on action. Best of 7. Expect to see a lot of matches. I hope to God that we're going to see close games, 3-4, maybe even 3-3. I mean, not 3-3, like maybe a 4-2 or 4-1. It really depends. But, Katips, journey overall, thoughts, man?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. I'm very, very excited. 2 very well-deserving players, the undefeated WenSushi, and of course, Crea clawing his way back from the loser's bracket. Shout outs, of course, to Celador and to Arto. You guys did great. Thank you for joining in the tournament. Thank you for your participation and your finals appearances in Cycle 2 as well of eHL. But now we are going into the big game. Crea versus WenSushi, opening up with Druid versus Miracle Rogue.
Exactly, and this is exactly the same carbon copy we did see in that previous winners bracket finals. WenSushi there with that Rogue. The Miracle Rogue, very, very strong in his, in his hands. He just seems to find the RNG, the ability to find the cards that he needs during the certain amount of time. And Crea, on the other hand, questionable plays there when he was unable to, if I'm not mistaken, he kind of used the wrong, skill out of the Power of the Wild. So let's see whether or not this time around he'll be able to do a better job here. But anyways, we're right into this game already. Crea taking the bottom half of this board. WenSushi at the top. We have Crea here already using the Keeper of the Grove, outputting damage onto the Rogue for WenSushi. And WenSushi doesn't have much of a play. He has the dagger in hand, but not going to do anything about that. And Crea here, this turn, just going to go ahead and play the Harvest Golem, effectively having 4 damage on the board so far.
So that's right. So Crea opening up very strong. He wants his creatures on the board. He wants to do as much damage as possible, not giving Sushi a chance to flex his RNG muscles and start drawing down the combos that led to his defeat earlier today.
Yep, definitely. And it seems here for WenSushi, though, he's having a couple of thoughts. Surprisingly, would you agree with the play there to actually play the Blood Mage Falinus, or would you just go with Deadly Poison, try to kill off the 2-3, and then maybe even... I guess he doesn't have enough mana for it now, but the next turn he could always go with the Blood Mage and the Blade Fury if he wants to.
Yeah, I think that's a safe play. I think that's exactly what he's going to go for. Instead, he goes for the face. So it's becoming a face race at the moment. So finally, Crea drawing that crucial Violet Teacher, finally getting the engine of his Token Druid to work, as it has not been doing its work for him earlier today.
Yep, and I think this is about the time where WenSushi should be trembling in fear, because if this continues to happen, we're probably going to be seeing a lot of very, very big and mean tokens being applied on the board there. Of course, the Violet Teacher, the core, as you said, that engine. But WenSushi, he's going to deal with this very effectively. He does have the backstab, so that's effectively 3 damage. The Blade Fury even going to make an appearance, but that doesn't mean much because Crea is still going to have a Harvest Bot on the board. Now, I guess you could say that it is just only a 2-1, but having minions on the board is always better than not having any at all. But of course, you can't disregard the fact that WenSushi got full value out of his Blood Mage Falinus in that previous turn there.
So very interesting plays from Crea right now. He is dropping everything he possibly can on the board, making sure that he has a lot of minions on the board for when Savage Roar comes out, and has been choosing to go for the face for most of the time. So right there, he just played his big game hunter, not choosing to wait for an enlarged Edwin Van Cleef, not choosing to wait for any of the other big creatures that Wensushi may put out. And it just goes for his hero power, goes for Blood Angel Thalnos, and sends his damage goal into the face.
Yep, and this is pretty interesting though, because here Krea is starting to run out of cards in his hand, and WenSushi is just continuously drawing. By the way, he does have that King Mukla, but I don't think he necessarily wants to toss that out now. Now the question is here for Krea though, do you think he should go for a bear form or a cat form in this kind of situation?
Well, first of all, I like that he's thinking about what to click before starting to click on starts, so he doesn't make the bad play. So I think cat form is good, because next turn, if Sushi doesn't deal with this with some eviscerate or some other removal, he can put Power of the Wild on it and then keep on going with his damage. So Sushi now getting a little uncomfortable. He's down to 16 health. Crea still has 23 health and still has a manner of drawing with his Wrath eventually.
Now, WenSushi has to be very careful about his play here, because we already know that Krea, look at those cards, very, very strong in hand already. He has that, one half of the Savage Trees combination. He even has the, what do you call this, the Power of the Wild as well. So, bananas are going to be given, and does that mean that there is a chance for Krea to win this? Probably not just yet, if I'm not mistaken. Like, how much damage does he effectively have here?
So he has 4. If he puts down next turn, he can go. It will be a little short. If it can last until turn 8, he can have Power of the Wild along with the Force of Nature. So that's probably the combo he's looking at right now. So his choice is going to be whether or not to give bananas to take out Mukla this turn. Is he gonna put down? He's probably going to put down Ardent Score and also Hero Power Up. So his choice right now is whether or not to go for the face. Risk his turn 8 play, which is a Power of the Wild with Force of Nature, or is he going to choose to put bananas on his Druid of the Claw and taking out Mukla? So he's thinking about it. He knows that there is still a Wicked Knife in play. There is still, it is still up to 3 damage because of Deadly Poison. So he is probably considering both of those options.
Now, in this kind of situation, would you personally just go for the face even more, or just deal with Mukla right now?
Oh my gosh, he goes for it.
All right, so he's gonna use the trees right there, the Force of Nature, to get rid of Mukla and still keep his 4/4 on the board. So that's always very good for him. He still has bananas. He still has the Power of the Wild. So there's a lot of damage already just coming out from that. WenSushi is in kind of a tough predicament.
Couldn't that have been a better play? Couldn't it, instead of putting down Argent Score, he could have put a banana on one of the trees and just used 2 of them, and then sent the other 2 to the face? So he would have dropped WenSushi down to 10 instead of Argent Squire on the board and 12 life remaining.
Yes, that is true. But I think he's probably having a play in mind here. Now, he actually sapped back Krea's minion here, but how much damage is he going to be able to... He still doesn't have enough damage yet. And I'm pretty sure he's a little bit wary of saps that are coming out. But I think this is just, again, an instant charge just to, get some damage out there. He's actually, in fact, going to buff up the Argent Squire there.
Yep.
I believe he's going to be able to dish in 7 damage this turn. WenSushi is in a lot of trouble here. Only down to 5 life in Krea, 14 life. WenSushi, this time around, I feel like his miracle, it's not happening just yet.
But let's not count him out just yet. The miracle can still happen.
Look at that. Look at what's in hand. The double Cold Blood on top of Leroy Jenkins. What a way to win the first match. And Krea, unfortunately, gonna be busted out here. What a way to win the first match in his best out of 7. Really good play there coming out from WenSushi. He had that in hand the whole time, and he was waiting for it. Waiting for the opportune moment. And now, this means... Yeah,
I'm trying to figure out right now where that damage came from that dropped Krea down to 14. What just happened? That just happened so fast.
Exactly. I mean, double cold blood is just so damn good when you play Leroy Jenkins because you get the double effect. I mean, you get the bonus effect. So that's effectively, 8 damage on top of his on top of his 6. So yeah, exactly 14 damage, and that is all he needed to win that game. So without a doubt, very very good play there coming out from both these players. And for those of you guys as well, again, for those of you tuning in and have not heard about the wager and win that we are gonna be producing, games that are gonna be played here for this best out of 7, for you guys in Twitch, whoever you feel is gonna be winning the entire thing, whether it be Korea or WenSushi, you can go ahead and lock in your vote for who you feel is gonna win the entire eGTV Hearthstone League Season 1 here in the chat right now to have a chance to win yourself 80 SGD worth of MOL Points, of course, proudly sponsored by MOL Points themselves. So, with that being said, game number 2 is going to be underway here. We still have a lot more games to be covered. Best out of 7, game number 2. Here we go. WenSushi still has his Miracle Rogue, and right now, we see Korea forced to rely back onto his Aggro Hunter here.
So Hunter has been producing many miracles today. It may have still enough inside of it to produce another win, but he is up against WenSushi, the Miracle Rogue himself. So it's going to be up to this mulligan right now to see if he can determine the pace, if he can determine the damage. That will see him into a win for the second game.
Yep, for sure. So Korea here deciding exactly what he wants to mulligan, is thinking very carefully about it. In this kind of situation, what would you actually keep?
I will keep Leper Gnome and Starving Buzzard because you want that combo. Although there is something to be said that Rogue doesn't put down many creatures, so it's pretty not as crucial to keep the combo cards and instead go for these creatures. So he does have a sizable pick of creatures, which Sushi is going to be forced to deal with one way or another with his backstabs and other removals like SI7 agent. So he chooses to coin and puts down both of his Leper Gnomes. So let's see how WenSushi decides to deal with these two.
Yeah, I believe his only option right now is to just run himself into one of the gnomes. Unless he's thinking of waiting onto the turn 3, because he can always just use that, Fan of Knives, a really good way to get rid of these low-cost one life minions there on the board. And right now, I mean, yeah, they're two very scary Leopard Domes, and they're going to be dealing a lot of damage. But I think Korea should be all right with the way that it's working out, because if you think about it, he kind of is practically doing the damage already. Like, the damage is done. He's already done a decent amount of damage here. He even uses hero power. He knows that he doesn't want to apply too much of one drops onto the ground there for fear of things like this, which is the Fan of Knives right there. You can see WenSushi actually gets eviscerated out of that, but he's going to be taking effectively 4 damage there, and he's going to be dropped down to 20 life right now.
Yep. So, and that forces him to commit his first Fan of Knives, and now he has to deal with these next few 1-drops individually. So he's going to be probably putting down his Wolf Rider for 3 more damage, and then in the next turns, if Sushi doesn't decide to deal with the Wolf Rider, he can start buffing it up with Abusive Sergeant, and so this turn he just decides to use hero power. So trying to be a little bit more conservative.
Yeah, I think he's learned his lesson. He kind of wants to make sure that he has a bit of a combo going before he actually decides to go for that all-in kill here, which is fairly alright. But this time on, though, Korea is going to be given cards as well because of that Cold Light Oracle, and you can see instantly even more pressure being applied to the Rogue. Look at that 5 damage just because of the Abusive Sergeant. And WenSushi is in a bit of a pickle if you think about it. He will be able to put minions on the board and apply a bit of more pressure, but he is looking at only 13 life right now. So he is currently in the danger zone against Korea here with fear. I mean, he has so many cards. He could be holding onto, who knows, maybe even a kill command.
That's right.
Yeah.
So he now also has the option to just completely ignore the creatures on the board because he does have his combo. He has his Starving Buzzard and his Unleash the Hounds. All he needs is the Timberwolf, which gives him a bit more damage. So I think it would be... I don't know. I would personally play this with just an Arcane Golem and hero power just for the 6 damage, and then when Sushi overcommits with his creatures, if he overcommits with his creatures, then I'll go with the finish with the Starving Buzzard and the Unleash the Hounds combo.
All right, so here in this tracking, would you actually take Eaglehorn over Abusive?
Eaglehorn for sure, just for that extra security. He does have the health to ram himself into creatures if need be, but Eaglehorn I think is the best option right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's 2 triggers, and I don't think Sushi is running Ooze or Harrison Jones to be able to get value out of that one. So that's still 3 damage, and he is very close to closing it out against Sushi.
Yep, oh, he actually opts not for the weapon. He's going to go for the Abusive Sergeant instead. So kind of interesting play here. I believe he might even Hunter's Mark the 3/3 to kill it off. But no, just goes for face. I mean, we already know how much damage he has in hand. And it's looking very scary. Even going to use the Hunter's Mark there.
Yeah, that's right. So right now he has 4, 8, 9, 10 out of 7 mana. So he can possibly play his Arcane Golem. He also has the options with the Bluegill Bomber and the Abusive Sergeant. So he has a lot of mana to go around. Lots of options with how he can choose to play with this. So Sushi's probably going to take out that Buzzard. That's definitely one of the plays to take out. But he is in the danger zone. It's now a ticking time bomb with Krea's hero power, making sure that WenSushi has no defense whatsoever.
Yeah, that is for sure. Wow, if he's really thinking of using this, that could potentially give the lethal over to Krea. I mean, he has so much damage in hand right now, if you think about it.
Yep, that's right. So that's 4 damage from Arcane Golem, 5, 6 with Abusive Sergeant, and that gives him still 2. So 8 damage still with hero power. So he has 8 damage in hand at the moment. So when Sushi doesn't, if he doesn't choose to clear out this board, he is in big trouble.
Yeah, he really is. He is slowly getting his combo though, so I think he can be a little bit more, more aggressive here and try to clear the board. Ooh, but he's going for the bananas there. That is pretty interesting. So those bananas, is it gonna win him the game? Oh, that's another really good card to have. I think we might potentially be seeing a very interesting win here. Okay, let's think about it. Arcane Golem is 4, is 2 from the bananas as well. That's basically 6, 8 from the Argent the Abusive Sergeant. Does he have enough mana to play that? Yes, he does. He can effectively do 8 damage right now.
But that's going to be a little bit dangerous going into the next turn because Sushi, of course, can pull out his own miracle. But
exactly,
it's a timer now. Let's see how he chooses to play this.
I mean,
set.
Essentially, he could also just go for his Bluegill Warrior if he's worried about that. He can still dish in more damage because he'll have, I think, well, actually, not more damage, but I mean, he'll be able to not worry too much about the mana issue there.
What he can also do is drop down Explosive Trap and send Bluegill Warrior with Abusive Sergeant into Mukla. So at least that removes 2 of the 3 threats on the board and gives him a chance to finish off Sushi next turn. So that's another option he can do. He can work around his Explosive Trap and stop the threats from Sushi's side.
All right, so try to go for more of the clearing play, so to speak. He's actually gonna, so he's gonna go for a play there. He runs that in directly, plays the trap. When Sushi is down to 11 life. So
right.
Krea this time around actually opting to go a little bit more safe. Preparation is here though. Now, unfortunately for WenSushi, he will be definitely losing his Cold Light Oracle here. Explosive Trap's gonna be proc 9 damage already on his face now. And that means that's instantly lethal next turn.
Yep, so if Sushi doesn't have any defense or heal this turn, that is it for him.
Wow, we might actually be seeing WenSushi lose out. That's actually a pretty interesting thing to see. Because the thing is, even if he deals with this 2-1 on the board, he is essentially going to lose, basically.
Yeah, there's just no way to stop. He doesn't have any taunts to stop that next onslaught of 9 damage.
Oh, if he saps this is even going to be much more better for Krea, actually.
Yeah, It's gonna give him 2 damage for 1 cost. So he's digging himself in.
Alright, he just dug his own grave. I think we all know that Korea is gonna win this game. Out comes the Arcane Golem. In fact, gonna go for double Arcane Golem and the Abusive Sergeant here. That, my friends, is a whole bunch of turnaround right there. Korea finally gonna be able to stump the Rogue coming out for WenSushi. Miracle Rogue going down, and it's 1 apiece in this best out of 7. Very interesting stuff going on in this tournament. This is insane right now.
And of course, the crowd favorite, the Hunter, showing its mettle again, showing that it can deal with even mid-range decks such as Rogue, Miracle Rogue, if you get just to play smart. So it's not all about the face. It's also working around what your opponent's threats are. It's also working around what his capabilities are, and making sure not to overcommit with stuff like. Very early on, we saw that it was a very smart play for Korea to not overcommit his 1-drops because he had expected the Fan of Knives. So I think that was a pretty crucial play very early on, which led to him basically steamrolling the next few turns.
Yeah, it really seemed like Korea was playing a different mindset coming into this best out of 7 after he lost his Druid. So it's good to see that this kind of level of gameplay is coming from both players. WenSushi also with that really strong start there in game 1 with the the double Cold Blood onto Leroy Jenkins. Just a heck of amount of damage there, just enough actually to win. But we have this next game, the 3rd game in this best out of 7, by the way, coming up. It's gonna be WenSushi. With his warrior, the first time he's showing his warrior here against Korea. So we all know Korea, he does have his very, very interesting, well, I guess it's not really interesting, it's just your very basic aggro hunter deck. And in my opinion, I mean, in your opinion, just by looking at the deck so far coming from WenSushi, I mean the cards so far, we can kind of tell it is kind of more or less the control-ish kind of warrior. Do you think Korea has a better chance in this, or do you think WenSushi has the upper hand here?
Well, we saw earlier Control Warrior take out Hunter pretty effectively. There's just so many removals that it's able to deal with all of these little threats, and still has the option for armoring up and bracing himself for endgame. So it's all going to be how effective Korea can output his damage, if he can beat the race of armor against Control Warrior, and also prevent Warrior from pulling off his early combos such as the Armor Smith, and getting a sizable advantage with Frothing Berserker or the Cruel Taskmaster clearing out his board.
Yep, for sure. And right there you can see WenSushi, he goes ahead and coins out the Frothing Berserker. Korea is actually left with a Leper Gnome only on the ground. Now, do you think the best option here is for him to go ahead and deal with this 2-4 on the board? Because that can grow, for sure.
That's very tricky because he's going to have to think about... he deals with this now, and then he runs out of steam later because WenSushi hasn't even moved in terms of removal, and he's already trading 2 cards for 1. So it might be not as favorable to keep throwing his minions and trying to control against the Control Warrior. But I don't know, that's my opinion. So he does leave himself with a single Leper Gnome, 3 cards, and Sushi still with a sizable piece of health with 24, and drops down his second Frothing Berserker. Ooh, big threat.
Yep. Now, in this kind of situation, he is going to be forced to choose. Do you think even just tossing out the Arcane Golem just to get rid of this? I mean, he can actually ignore this, but that Frothing Berserker is going to be growing stronger and stronger as soon as that kills off the Leper Gnome. And in the end, it will start to look like WenSushi is being the aggressor with that huge amount of damage on that Frothing Berserker. So, what do you actually think is the best play here for him?
It's a little tricky. I would hero shot and go for face with Leper Gnome, to be honest. And just wait out to see if I have many more options. Because if WenSushi puts down more creatures and then Korea gets his Unleash the Hounds, that could be an advantage for him, especially since he has Timberwolf already. So he does choose to go with the remaining Leper Gnome, going for the face and going for hero power. So let's see how WenSushi deals with his next few turns, how he can take advantage of his Frothing Berserker.
Well, he is definitely making use of it right now. The Cruel Taskmaster gets rid of the little gnome there, and he hits face for 3 damage there. So that Frothing Berserker is starting to become bigger and bigger as time progresses right now. And Korea, he has a couple of options here. I believe this is probably his best play. Yep, push for even much more damage. So he's gonna whack the face in with the Eagle Horn Bow there. He sets the trap up. And whether or not WenSushi is going to be able to make use of this, I mean, he can, if you think about it. He does have an Acolyte of Pain in there.
Yeah, that's right. And if he puts down more creatures, that's just even more stuff that can power Frothing Berserker. But his health is now dropping to 15. And he is going to give an extra charge also to Eaglehorn Bow. So let's see if this works out for Krea.
Yep. I actually feel like it's starting to be a little bit more scary for Krea right now because he's going to be faced off with this very, very strong Frothing Berserker. You see right there, instantly just trades that off. He knows he doesn't want to keep that on the board. Going for an Arcane Golem this late, or do you think he should just wait for it, or attack and hero power?
I think if he's going to play this, he should play this now before it gets into the later turns. Because if you give him a chance to get more mana earlier than expected and put down one of the bigger legendary threats, that might be a bigger problem for him later on rather than playing this now.
Yep. Alright, so effectively WenSushi now has 12 life. Does Krea have enough damage for that? Now he does have a weapon, so that's 3. 2 from his hero power, that's 5. 5. He's actually 1 off lethal. Can you believe that? As long as he's able to draw 1 added damage, oh, it's not enough.
Oh my gosh, so close.
Would you mask Leroy and just keep going with hero power?
Does WenSushi have an shield block? Or what are his chances of drawing it?
I'm not too sure. I think let me just take a quick look at his deck list here. I believe
I think he should just go. I think he's out of options at this point. Just go for Leroy.
Just do it, right?
Just do it. Just drop him to 1 health. Make him think about the next turn. Because he doesn't have a choice. He doesn't have a way of drawing cards. So he might as well go all in now and hope for his final answer to come up in the next draw.
And as for the shield block, yes, WenSushi is running with it. But yeah, I mean here, Krea gonna go actually attack with the weapon. Not even gonna go with the Leroy play there.
So he's gonna risk it. He's gonna play a little bit more conservatively, see if he can draw another answer with the next turn.
Well, it seems like WenSushi is just going to go and opt for even much more card draw and make sure that he puts himself out of range of dying. That's effectively 9 life right now on him. Krea just needs to draw a kill command and he can actually just win this game right now.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh my god!
Oh,
Top decks a kill command!
Oh boy.
Is that the caster's curse? Look at that. Leroy Jenkins comes in, 6 damage to the face. Krea, that actor, 2 games against WenSushi.
Oh boy.
At its finest. I just cursed that. That is my bad, guys. You can blame Larc for that. With that kill command. The new Babel, indeed.
Oh wow, that's... Well, all the luck is flowing back into Krea right now. That couldn't have been there couldn't have been a better draw than that. You nailed it exactly. All he needed was kill command to finish off with Leroy. Yep. Oh boy, wow. Hunter.
Yeah, I mean, it's insane. Like, this aggro hunter is making use of all his... I mean, if you've noticed, Krea's just playing this very, very, slowly. Even though he's playing that aggro hunter, he's not like, okay, yeah, hero power pass, hero power pass, hero power pass, or hero power play whatever minion. And it's just really good. And I guess I'm just going to have to chop off my tongue because I have a silver one now with that top deck there. But with that said, though, Krea is 2 games up against... 1 game up against WenSushi there. 2-1 currently. We're gonna be jumping into this 4th game here. Is Krea gonna be able to continue with a full head of steam with his aggro hunter? We're just gonna wait and see. It is going to be WenSushi here playing his druid though. Chances, Katips, what do you feel?
Well, same as always. When we saw this matchup, it's gonna be the battle of the early defense versus the battle of the early offense on the side of Krea. So early on, he is getting some decent cards. He's deciding whether or not to mulligan his Unleash the Hounds, but it is a good... I think Explosive Trap might be a dead card against the Druid, but for now, I think his draw is pretty decent. So let's see how he starts to choose to start up his offense.
Well, it's a little bit unfortunate to see that he doesn't have, his leopard gnomes to. If you notice, a lot of his success came from the fact that he had leopard gnomes. In fact, double leopard gnomes at the same time. And look at Wensushi's hand. That is insane. That is insane.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Innervate into Senshin instantly blocks off any aggression coming up from Korea there. That's a free 5 that is definitely not going to die very easily here. But look at the hand of Korea. Look at that one card, that very beautiful Hunter's Mark.
That's right. So he can easily just coin into Wolf Rider, or if he wants to save it, he can go into his weapon and just do a Hunter's Mark, take the 3 damage. So let's see which option he chooses to go with. I personally think he should just go for the weapon because it's probably not going to get removed anytime soon, just saving his creatures, forcing Sushi to deal with it later on. So he does choose to go for the Eagle Horn Bow and takes out the very, very costly Senjin at this point.
Really good heads up play there. And that's really put, actually, to be honest, yeah, it is true what you said. It puts Korea in a really good position because when Sushi, it doesn't have much to play. Well, he does have Big Game Hunter, and it's not like a hunter really runs with big minions, so it's fine for him to actually just throw it out here. Now, on the side of Korea, though, he doesn't necessarily need to worry too much about this. Would you just... Okay, so he's going to go ahead and trap and tracking right here.
Yep.
Ooh, which one would you take?
Oh boy. Abusive. I personally think abusive because he does have a Wolf Rider and he does have a Golem to use it with. So I think a 2-1 for 2 is a little bit overpriced at this point. I think I'd rather take the 1 cost with a 2-1 body, giving 2 to one of his other chargers, especially next turn where he can use either of them.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you there. Abusive Sergeant, just too good to pass up. It's going to be very, very awesome for sure. So, yep, he's actually going to go with the Blue Gale Torpedo instead. So, not going to opt for that Battle Cry for the added 2 damage there.
So he's probably thinking maybe he can save up. Oh, I don't know. I'm not so sure about that decision to take Blue Bomber instead of the abusive because it would have given him exactly 4 mana cost next turn to use his Wolf Rider with abusive.
Well, if you think about it, it seems like it's gonna work out now though in his favor. That Mark of the Wild on the Big Game Hunter, unfortunately, is not gonna do much because here comes the Blue Gale Torpedo, here comes the Hero Power, and here comes the smack onto the face from the Eagle Horn Bow. And when Sushi is actually dropping a bit low and looking at his hand, it's gonna take a while before he reaches that.
Yeah,
well,
so
I mean,
it's going to be a race in the mid game now. Can Krea do enough damage to have too much of a threat for Sushi to come back and force him to maybe heal up with Ancient of Lore? But let's see. He is down 1 card and he has no board control at the moment, but he does choose to use his Innervate. So that brings out his Lore. That's right.
And that's actually really good for him now. So in this kind of regard, for Korea, what do you do?
Very tough. I could 5 mana. I could probably go Hero Power Wolf Rider into Lore and then kill it off with a weapon, or he can also choose to do a Buzzard into Owl, hoping for more cards, hoping for maybe Unleash the Hounds later on.
Wouldn't you say it's a little bit risky because you'd like to keep the silence for taunts? You know, when you have that game-winning blow, you just want to make sure you use that to break off the taunt and go for the face there. Do you even think Arcane Golem is a play here? Probably not against a Druid, right?
Yeah, you probably don't want to give Druid too many mana. So Arcane Golem might be a difficult, very risky play at the moment. So his option, I think, is to go for face with Wolf Rider and then Hero Power, or he could possibly go Starving Buzzard into Owl.
All right, so hope for a decent card right now. That's actually putting a lot of faith in RNG. So he might not actually opt to go for that. In fact, he's actually going to go for the Wolf Rider here. Now, whether or not he trades with the Ancient of Lore, we're going to have to wait and see here. Do you think he should just go for face? Nope, he's going to trade right there, even with the weapon. So going to be in quite an interesting position, though. He does remove the imminent threat on the board, but look at that top deck from WinSushi. That's actually going to provide a lot for him.
That's right, and if you take a look at it, even with all of that aggression, Krea is down in life. He is 15 against Sushi's 22.
Yeah, exactly. as the Aggro Hunter down in 13 life. That's actually very interesting. He does have a healing touch as well for WenSushi, so he's going to be in a really good position. He does have Druid of the Claw as well. So Kriya here, just going to go with that previous play like you mentioned. Going to go ahead and throw down. This time at least he got the order right. Silencing the Keeper of the Grove. He has a weapon, but he can't really do anything after that.
Yeah, that's right. So Sushi's still in a very safe life.
Oh.
Sushi's still in a very safe life lead. He is starting to get his options. It is ramping up now. What his options are, and that value swipe taking out his Kriya's entire board, and
Yep.
now leaving a 2/4 rampant and attacking for the 2 damage every turn.
That's a really crazy top deck there for him. That swipe definitely giving him a lot of value, and he can always win in the next turn if he really wants to. But he's actually gonna go ahead and use misdirection and use his hero power here. WenSushi is actually effectively down to 19 life only, but his hand.
I think also Sushi can start playing, maybe play safe and play around the trap and just go for face. I don't know. Oh, well, he still does have the healing touch bringing him up.
Like, I mean, he doesn't have to worry so much. Like, right now he's in such a good position. Look at his minions in hand. Look at his, you know, he has that removal as well from both the rafts. So I guess you can say Kriya is essentially out of steam this point on.
Yeah, it's not gonna do much since Sushi. Oh, since Sushi hasn't been putting down much, he's not gonna be able to power a potential comeback with Unleash the Hounds. But who knows? This still might clutch it out.
It's actually a really good thing he got the kill command there. He was able to survive at least one more turn here. Oh, but Ragnaros on top of Raph. Yup, that's gonna be game number 4 in favor for WenSushi. Here comes the depths of hell. Ragnaros gonna be showing off his big bad flames, hitting the face directly at Kriya. He's gonna be down for the count, and his Hunter is gonna be out of there.
So Hunter is out, much to the delight of the chat room. And again, this is exactly what I was talking about. He had played Arcane Golem, giving WenSushi the extra mana to bringing up to 10 mana at turn 8. So that gave him enough to give him that combo with Wrath and Ragnaros, and essentially finishing off the game for him.
Yep, and if you take a look at it right now, this series is really very much a nail biter. Both these players now currently tied 2 apiece. 4 games in total so far. And I believe the stress is building up for both these players. They definitely know what's on the line. I mean, Kriya is fighting for his life, hoping to be able to jump back into a second best out of 7. But WenSushi, on the other hand, he's really hoping to just end this series right now. We're going to have to wait and see how this is going to go. So, Katips, after seeing those, those matches, what do you think is the strongest way that Kriya can actually get back into this best out of 7?
Well, it's definitely going to be tough because that kind of Watcher Druid is very strong, very standard, has a lot of options going for it at any point in the game. So he has to be able to bust through. So now he's going to be playing Handlock, which is slightly in his favor because Druid, as mentioned earlier, doesn't have enough of the options to deal with all of the big threats towards the late game. So this might be slightly in Krea's favor, so he could take game number 5 now, isn't it?
Yep, game number 5.
Yeah, this could go in his favor with a slightly advantageous handlock.
But look at WenSushi's hand, man. You gotta say it's pretty interesting for sure. I mean, you have the Innervate and the Coin as well. You can definitely get some huge minions out here if he wants to. Even get the Druid of the Claw out right now. But he's just gonna go and opt for the hero power to the face. Kriya has a couple of removals. He just needs a little bit more giants. He does have one. There we go. There's the second giant. In fact, gonna tap again and just end the turn here.
Yep, definitely. So he's going to probably be playing conservatively, trying to build a decent defense, and then see what he can end up with in the late game to try and counter all of these giants in Krea's hand right now.
Do you think Innervate into the Druid of the Claw is the best play here? Or do you think he should just maybe play it even slower?
Well, he has to play it until around that 18 health point where Molten Giant becomes very affordable. So he's probably going to go with charge form.
No, he went for his.
He went for okay. Sorry,
slow.
it's a bit laggy on my side, but
Alright.
yeah. So he's gonna put up a defense right now, and of course, Krea is gonna answer with an 8-8,
Yep.
forcing Sushi to think about how he's gonna deal with it.
But instant answer, WenSushi, perfect. Using the big game hunter, gonna get rid of one of the giants there, and that's just one of the many cards that is so annoying to deal with as playing as a handlock. So Krea, unfortunately, this time he is set it back himself right now, if you think about it.
Yeah, that's right. So, So let's see how Krea chooses to deal with this. I think he looks like he's gonna heal up with Farseer, and then hold on to his other giant for now, and wait until his health go. Oh, sorry, he's waiting on another set of his options because he does have two activators in his hand, but his Molten Giant is a little bit too expensive still. So he's probably thinking about how to deal with 8 damage on the board right now for WenSushi.
The thing is, do you think Krea should even just tap here? Or he is going to be forced to just play a minion right now?
If he's gonna tap, he'd better do it now because 8 damage is coming his way, and he has no means of stopping it right now.
Well, he's just gonna go ahead and just taunt up there. The Irving Farseer gonna be taking place there, but wow, another Wrath. Even then he already had one. So in fact, gonna use double Wrath here against Krea. So yeah, like you said, 8 damage straight to the face. Uses both his removals actually, the single target removal there with the Wrath, and right now WenSushi it's a race against the clock.
That's right. So he is now past the threshold of an affordable Molten Giant. That's probably gonna come down unless he chooses to play Ancient Watcher and Druid. Argus Defender.
Defender of Argus, yeah.
Defender of Argus. Okay, sorry. So that's gonna give him a nice little block because it's not gonna be enough for either of the single minions of WenSushi to get past it. So he's gonna have to hammer both of them into it to get past him, unless he does have a Silence at Keeper of the Grove.
Yeah, but WenSushi, man, he just throws down his gadgets and Auctioneer. Out comes the power, and the Mark of the Wild, and instantly gets rid of that Ancient Watcher. And now Krea is left with no minions on the board. WenSushi has double 4/4s right now.
Ooh, tricky. So he's now gonna have to decide whether to put down more threats on the board in the form of a Molten Giant, or does he choose to Siphon Soul the... well, yeah, he does go for a Siphon Soul.
Yeah, I think
that's the best option for him right now.
But Krea, man, is just tossing big minion after big minion. I mean, WenSushi is just tossing big minion after big minion. There we go. Out comes the Ancient of Lore. Gets even much more card draw. Alexstrasza already in hand. This is starting to look very crazy for WenSushi in terms of his hand right now.
Yeah, definitely. So it's more of the tendency of a Ramp Druid with Alexstrasza and getting big threats towards the late game. So he does choose to instead Shadow Flame that minion to clear the board. Unfortunately, he is down to 15 health, and WenSushi still has a ton of cards in his hand and 31 health effectively.
Yep. Now, one silence has already been used, so unfortunately, this is one cow you're not going to be dealing with very easily right here.
Oh,
but
boy.
That is actually a really good top deck. But of course, he still has that Molten Giant there.
Yeah, that's right. So his choice right now would be will he put down Molten Giant and let it do some havoc for a while? Is he going to Shadow Flame now to get the 6/7 off and just leave a 4/5? So has to think about how he wants to play this.
Or do you think he should just play the tap and Molten Giant? Or just
oh man, that's going to be dangerous in terms of his health. It's going to drop him down to 13 with 6 on the board for Sushi. A 6 taunted one with a killer death rattle, so little tricky. Little tricky.
Well, it seems like Krea is in a really tough spot right now. Even if he plays like you said, plays the Molten Giant, he uses the Shadow Flame, it's still not going to, stop the 4/5 from coming back after, carrying Bloodhoof dies. But Krea is just going to go ahead and toss out the Stone Giant, and WenSushi, he's going to be able to deal with this. He can't get rid of it right now with the 6/7 on the board. If he's actually opting to do that, yep, he is going to do it. He's going to get back a 4/5, and look at that.
Taz Dingo. Value Taz Dingo.
Mm-hmm. I mean, like right now, I guess you could Shadow Flame. This is probably the best time to do it. He could also just do the same thing he did: silence, power overwhelming, Shadow Flame, clear the board.
He could also play an owl. It would have been a waste. He can play either the owl or Sun Fury Protector with power overwhelming and Shadow Flame.
Yeah, that's what I meant earlier. Like play the owl, power overwhelming, Shadow Flame, clear the board. But again, it's like he's still so far behind. He's using so many cards just to deal with the threats on the board.
This playstyle from Sushi with putting down threats one after the other and forcing opponents to deal with the removal, it's a very handlock type of play actually. So you can see how the tables are getting turned against a advantageous matchup in the form of the handlock versus Druid.
Mm-hmm. And right now, WenSushi, this is an instant Ysera, I believe. Easy one. The dream is alive. What is Ysera gonna give him? Wow, it's a dream. What?
The dream is alive.
The dream is alive, and it's a dream. I think Babel can retire now already because I've practically taken over his spot. But nevertheless, look at Korea. He's gonna go ahead and throw down the. He's not even gonna taunt up the Molten Giant. Maybe I guess good fear of things like Black Knight, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And he's pretty much all in at this point because that's a tough Ysera to get rid of. That's 412. And he does have Dream in hand, so... Oh, here comes Black Knight, just as he said.
Well, I mean, Dream can be casted if he wants to. Alternatively, he could also apply pressure by swiping the face of Korea and attacking with Ysera as well. Hopefully you get a Ysera's Awaken or something like that.
Yep, that's right. So he can choose to remove the Golem. So,
Gonna go for card draw, it seems. And okay, that's a really good card this late into the game. And I think WenSushi's really happy with that draw.
Yeah, so I think Dream was a really good card for him to draw because he was able to take the threat off immediately. So now Kreia still has 2 turns to catch up using that Molten Giant.
He even gets an Emerald Drake out of the Dream again.
Yikes.
So, I think Korea might actually... He's going to have to tap if he wants any sign of hope in this game. And it's not going to help out. There we go. That's only a Soulfire. I think that's game. Korea knows it. 6 life only. He's just going to play the Multi-Giant. Gonna play the Ancient Watcher. What else can he do? All he can do is concede. The 5th game. Gonna go in favor of WenSushi here. WenSushi looking super strong through it. Taking the handlock out for Korea. And it is now a 3-2. In
Match
favor
point.
for WenSushi. Yep.
Match point for WenSushi to take the eHL Season 1 finale.
Exactly. If WenSushi can win this next one, I think Korea, I'm sorry, but his journey is going to end there. So the next game is really the most important one. Whether or not we're going to see another best out of 7 series, or are we going to see it all in here in the hands of WenSushi? Will WenSushi get his revenge after what happened in Cycle 1 against Korea? We're just gonna have to wait and see. Here we go. Game number 6. This is crazy.
Match point for WenSushi, and he does still have 2 decks remaining, including the one he's using now. So it's very much an uphill battle for Korea. So he's gonna bust out his Shaman versus Druid, which is a favorable matchup. There is a ton of removal in the standard Shaman decks. I'm not sure if he's running the more modern variant with Lava Burst and Doomhammer, but that is a pretty decent opening hand. I have a feeling he might mulligan out the Defender of Argus and the Auctioneer, just keeping down the costs low for now and working with his totems in the early game.
Yeah, it could be quite the option here. Oh man, this Shaman deck, it's all or nothing. Korea really needs to make this work if he wants to have even a slight remote chance of hopefully coming back, because he still has to win one more match after this if he wants to take it to second best out of 7. So the world is literally against Korea right now. They want to dethrone him and put in the new king, the king of RNG, WenSushi. Is it gonna happen, man?
Oh my gosh, it's very exciting. So his mulligan choice right now is very, very difficult. Earth Shock is a pretty much dead card against Druid in the early game because what is he gonna Earth Shock? Is he gonna Earth Shock a Watcher, allow him to attack? So wow, he decides to keep his entire hand and not choosing to go for one of his removals, like hoping for a Lightning Bolt or hoping for a Hex. So interesting mulligan choice on the part of Kreia.
Yep. But looking at the hand of WenSushi, though, you can see that he also doesn't have the best starting hand there. Not, definitely not a hand you want to be starting with as a druid. And Kreia,
Wow.
do you think he might even coin the Feral Spirit? I think that's probably the worst thing he could do.
That's
Yep, he's
a
just
very bad idea. You don't really want to play Feral Druid in the early game where it locks you out into 1 mana the next turn.
So he's just gonna go ahead and totem up. He gets a Searing Totem, by the way, so that's instantly gonna die to WenSushi here. He's gonna go ahead and use his hero power. Now, turn 3, I'm guessing he's probably gonna go totem again, or even the Feral Spirit. I'm not sure, but yeah, it seems he's gonna go with the Feral Spirit here. Look at those wolves flowing in. 2 frees on the board right now. WenSushi, whew.
Oh man, he's locking himself out of next turn into 2 mana. He will have the option for another totem or lightning bolt, but that's pretty dangerous putting himself into such a deficit in terms of the overload.
As you can see right there, WenSushi actually opted not to use his Wrath, which is pretty interesting. He only just used the Wild Growth, get a little bit of more mana advantage against WenSushi here, and just ignored everything else. So Kreia, he's got a couple of taunts.
He's got all the taunts. He just
Exactly.
has all the taunts. And he has a very strong if he chooses not to overload himself this turn, which he probably won't, he has all of the good options going into turn 5 into turn 6. He can play Auctioneer in turn 5. He can play the most awesome 6-drop in the Fire Elemental on turn 6. And then he already has his late game finisher in Alakir. He already has it in his hand.
Yep. Kreia, I mean, he has, like you said, he has a lot of options. He even gets a Hex there. That's also very, very useful. But in this kind of situation, he's going to coin Fire Elemental, get a huge minion on the board. That's a 6/5 right now. Pressure is already being put onto WenSushi here. WenSushi, man, 24 life.
With nothing on the board. So let's see how he chooses to play out his hand.
Is even thinking about the big game hunter. Now he can actually swipe if he wants to, but he's gonna go ahead innervate Scenario Cell. Now that's a huge minion on the board. Instantly gets 2 taunts right there, 2 2s. And Kreia, he can still deal with this. He even has a Rock Biter if he wants to apply that onto himself to kill off one of the other ones. But
boy.
yeah, I think Gadget's an Auctioneer. Gonna Rock
He
Biter
could also
himself.
choose to maybe. Oh, okay. So he chooses to go Rock Biter.
He actually drew the Black Knight, could have been useful there, but of course, it's always better used on bigger minion creeps. And look at that, man. Kreia now, the board is definitely in his favor. 12 damage there. And yeah.
Taunt is not going to stop him now. He is going into turn 7 with the option to both do a Black Knight, with the option to Hex, with the option to Lightning Bolt. So all the options are in his hands right now.
Well, I believe WenSushi can probably just go for a swiper. Do you think this is just... Isn't it just an instant swipe? He has to do it.
Yeah, I think so. He has to take care of that Auctioneer before it gets out of hand. So he can just swipe and then... Ooh, very nice. I think that's a good play. Giving Mark of the Wild to Cenarius and then going for the Fire Elemental.
Yep. Now, unfortunately for him, that's going to get easily addressed though. Because look at what's in the hand for Kreia. Black Knight, Allura. It's Allura. Oh, he's actually going to opt to save it for something else bigger. And that's understandable. He will overload himself though. He does get the spell damage from the Azure Drake. Kills off the 7/4 that was on the board there. The very, very big minion right now. And now, Carrying Bloodhoof is going to make an appearance. But Kreia, he has the answer to this.
That's right. So he can just Hex it. He can just Earth Shock it and kill it with the Drake. So many options at his disposal right now. Oh, perfect draw. He also has the Wolves. Yep. So he can put down an offense and put down a defense. So,
like, this is starting to look really crazy right now for Kreia because he has such a good board advantage now. WenSushi, he used already Cenarius. Cenarius got dealt with easily. He's out of that scenarios loop right now. He gets a top deck to the swipe, but it doesn't really do much here. Do you even think a Faceless Manipulator is going to be warranted?
Oh man, it's a very low value faceless manipulator. These are not good minions on their own, but right now on the board, on the side of Krea, they are forming an impressive wall of offense and defense. So it's not going to be the best value, but it may be his only choice.
Wow, he's actually going to copy it. And is he even going to swipe this? Man.
Oh boy.
I believe he can, yeah, just swipe the Unbound Elemental, make sure it doesn't grow. Or even better yet, the Azure Drake, because that, the added spell damage is always very good for a Shaman.
Yep, definitely. You really want to get rid of spell totems. You want to get rid of Thalnos. You want to get rid of anything that gives spell power, because even something as small as an Earth Shock can become a big problem later on.
But nevertheless, it seems like MoL's going to clear everything else, leaving the Drake and as well as the 2-1 on the board right now. Krea opting to just go ahead with the hero power there. Instantly kills off the Drake. Can also trade his 2-1 for the 4-1 there. And yeah, I mean, he's in a really good position so far.
He can still do a Defender of Argus to keep the defense up, because Sushi is running out of cards at the moment. He's running out of options, and he is down to 16 health.
He is. Krea is in fact going to go ahead and throw the Blood Mage Falano, so effectively he has 2 extra spell damage, and WenSushi on his Druid is actually down to 12 life. What can he do here?
Very dangerous at this point. He's going to have to decide whether he can heal himself up with Ancient of Lore. He's not been running Farseer to heal himself.
Oh my god.
Boy.
Oh boy. I think we all know where this is going. Pretty sure we all know where this is going. That's 7 damage plus 6. Is it enough? Oh, and even gets a Rock Biter weapon.
Oh, so he has Alakir in hand. He has Leroy in hand.
Yep.
Oh boy, he's probably just gonna hex this, and that is it.
That is game. Yep.
Leroy holding up the axe, saying to WenSushi, "You are not taking this series that easily," and takes the game.
Well played there by Krea. He is able to come back with the Shaman. That top deck and the Rock Biter definitely helped out as well. And holy cow, we are gonna be going through the last and final game of this best out of 3 series. 3 games of best out of 7 series. 3 games of peace. Can you imagine that? We expected a good turnout for the grand finals, and we are getting it. So guys, I hope you are having as much fun as we as casters are, because this is intense. You can look at the expressions of the players' faces. They are right now fully focused. So this is gonna do it. Place your bets. Is it gonna be Krea? Is it gonna be WenSushi? Will Krea be able to get back into this and force a second best out of 7 here? This is the grand finals of the eHL Season 1, the road to Northrend. Here we go. It's gonna be the lock. Interesting lock coming out from WenSushi versus Krea's Shaman.
So if this is a zoo deck, it might cause problems for Shaman, because Shaman, of course, have a bit of difficulty with lots of small minions that just become very annoying over time and not having enough removal. So Shaman definitely has good removals for big threats. Hex is good. They have their Fire Elemental. But lots of little minions might become a problem if this is indeed a zoo deck. So let's see what Sushi comes up with.
Yep. Well, looking at Krea's starting hand, not the best. He does at least have a Rock Biter, can deal with early game aggressive minions. But WenSushi, looking at his hand, it's good. I mean, he has a couple of options. He also has the Knife Juggler. He has the, he can always coin turn 2 into the Harvest Golem, buff that up later on with the, oh my god, I'm losing it the name. The not Northshire. Shattered
Young
Sun
Priestess.
Cleric.
Shattered Sun Cleric.
Yeah, Shattered Sun Cleric. That's right. But I mean, this is crazy. Like, WenSushi's hand is really, really good right now. Krea, on the flip side, doesn't really have much of a play. He's just gonna go ahead and totem up here. And what totem is he gonna get? It's a spell totem. I guess that will force WenSushi to use his Harvest Golem to run into it.
Yep, definitely don't want many of those spell power minions on the board. So it's now going to be a race. So Krea's hand is very top heavy at the moment, and he doesn't have much in the way of defense except if he pops something with Defender of Argus. But it's up to WenSushi now to get past all of this and make sure that the threats keep coming, because even if, and not overcommit, because Krea might be packing a Lightning Storm and just erase all of the threats. So here comes that Shattered Sun Cleric, as you said, gonna give 2 attack and put a sizable, decent set of creatures on the board. So it's gonna force now Krea to decide how he wants to start removing these creatures. But unfortunately, at the moment, he is way too top heavy to put down any sort of threat.
Yeah, I mean, he's really hoping that he gets a Lightning Storm. If he top decks a Lightning Storm the next turn, that would be his saving grace here, because he's going to be ultimately taking a lot of damage as this continues on. WenSushi has a lot of minions in hand. He has the Leper Gnome. He has the Voidwalker that's placed out there. Look at that! There is just a crazy taunt that WenSushi just cannot... I mean, not WenSushi, Krea just cannot bypass. He's gonna need... Oh, that's not what he needs. He needs that
gosh.
Lightning Storm right now. He's
Where are
not
his
getting
spells? Oh boy, Sushi's luck might be... It might be a Miracle Zoo.
A Miracle Zoo indeed. Look at that. Look at that hand. That is a crazy amount of damage right now.
Oh my goodness. We are in the Zoo of Dreams right now. And Sushi just starting to face roll. Oh my gosh, here comes the dog.
Yeah.
Everything is going well for Sushi right now.
If Krea does not get a Lightning Storm here, he is done. Oh my god. Are we gonna see it? Is this really...
Oh boy.
Oh my god. Is there... Okay, let's think about it. Is there any way for him to get back into this? Let's be realistic for a second.
I think he's mentally shot. He just opened up his options, thought about that concede button. So
Yeah.
As far as defense goes, he pretty much has nothing. All he can do is gosh.
Oh my god, wow. Well,
can he put down a totem and Flame
could.
Tongue and then Argus it?
Well, I mean, he could Flame Tongue and essentially Defender of Argus the Flame Tongue.
Yeah, he can put down he can call down a totem
But-
and put down Flame Tongue and put Argus, but that's not enough.
But again, yeah, it's not enough.
Health.
Look at the head of WenSushi. Power overwhelming. That's all you need. That's all you need to win games. I think we all know. Are we actually gonna be seeing Season 1
on the verge.
Oh
there
my
goes
god, there we go! Krea is gonna in fact concede right here. WenSushi, no need for a second best out of 7. He's gonna be able to win the grand finals. Look at that smile. Well, is that really a smile? Maybe not. He's really happy there, of course. He is gonna be really, really happy with how this tournament so far has progressed, because he just won 300 SGD for himself as the first place winner here in the grand finals of eHL. That is the eGTV. Oh my god, I'm losing my voice. Hearthstone League Season number 1, the Road to Northrend, finally coming to a close here, guys. This is a really good show match, down to the wire, all the way, best out of 7 games. What a way to end it, man, Katips.
Oh boy! So lesson learned, kids. If you want to win big tournaments, play the aggro decks. It might just go out in your favor. And Sushi showing that he is a master of his control decks. He is the true miracle man today, and he clutches it out with a perfect zoo draw. So congratulations to WenSushi taking Season 1 grand finale and banishing his demon from Cycle 1 and taking it from Krea.
Exactly. I mean, WenSushi's got to be feeling really happy. And I mean, personally, as us casters, we are really happy with the games that we've seen, happy with the turnout. Thank you so much to all of you viewers there in the stream for tuning in to eGTV Hearthstone League Grand Finals here. Our new crown winner here. It's going to be the king, formerly known now, the king of RNG. That is WenSushi. His RNG is just pretty insane. Katips, man, this has been an awesome treaty. I'm so glad to have you here with me here to co-cast. this grand finals. It's been an awesome day here, a whole day event here, live, by the way, in Singapore, AlienwareArena. Thank you so much to them for giving us this spot here to go ahead and have this live showing. So Katips, before we actually end the stream, any shoutouts you want to give? Oh, before then though, shoutouts to all the players for sure for coming in. A huge
Definitely.
shout out to Celador. He's made it so far, as well as Ardo. Both these players very, very strong, especially Ardo for taking the time and money to come here in Singapore live at this event. Huge shout out to him. So Katips, take it away, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Shout outs, of course, to yourself, Larc. Thank you for casting with me this entire day. It's been what, almost 9 hours of us talking talking
Yes.
about Hearthstone. It's been pretty exciting. We saw the top of the line of the meta. We saw the top of the line of the players. Thank you, shout outs, of course, to my countryman, Celador, Mabuhay Kabayan. Thank you for playing a great set of games. Shout outs to Arto representing Thailand and doing excellently. I mean, I was so impressed with his play back in Cycle 2. I was really happy he got all the way to the finals. Shout outs to Arto for sure. And definitely shout out to the entire Singapore team. Doing it live right now there in AlienwareArena. Very, very happy that you guys were able to pull off this offline event. Thank you to all of the sponsors. Just like a quick shout out to myself, to my team, Third World Gaming, Maktung, Cold Snap, Lemniscape. Thanks, guys, for supporting me in the casting role. Thank you for everybody for listening and for joining us in Twitch chat and joining in all of our prizes. So, Larc, thank you very much. And to Babel as well in the background, producing this excellent event for everybody.
Yes, definitely big shout out to Babel. And huge shout out to you as well, Katips, for joining me. It's been a really long journey, and I'm glad it's finally come to a really awesome end here. My name is Larc. I've been your main caster for today. Before we do anything else, I just want to give a huge shout out to all our sponsors here today. We've got MOL Points, we've got AlienwareArena, and we also have none other than Razer, because for you guys who are having lag issues and problems, you can always check out Razer's Game Booster. It's a really good program. It is great for automatically shutting off unnecessary processes and applications to maximize system performance for gaming. So if you want to find out more or download, check it out at razerzone.com/gamebooster. With that being said, guys, it has been a long journey. The road to Northrend finally coming to the end. I am so happy to be here with you guys. And I'm going to pass it a bit over to Babel to do a little bit of his own shout-outs.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think you guys can all hear me. So yes, finally my turn to speak. Been very quiet the entire afternoon and evening. In fact, even the morning as well. But generally, it's been a very pleasant experience. It's my honor to host eHL Season 1. And with that, we do promise to bring you eHL Season 2 as well. It's actually going to start when we do have spec mode. So in case you guys are hanging around on stream or you're part of the live audience, part of the difficulty in bringing you this production is that there is no spectator mode. So there might be some board lags along the entire season. Players with less than 1 megabyte per second upload speed. Lots of suffer there. But we managed to make it work. And generally, it's been a dream come true for all of us here at Southeast Asia. And I hope that this opportunity that I provided, or rather the eGTV as a whole, provided to the entire C community as a platform to showcase the talents here in Southeast Asia and the game Hearthstone, which really just match up to standard as compared to the NAEU players. And I know that there have been a lot of players saying that Southeast Asian players may not be as up to standard. So Season 2, keep a lookout because we are going international. So that's it. eHL Season 2, it's the Immortal Jenkins. And that's, of course, a part of the tradition here at eHL is we name our titles after every single season and theme based on the winner's favorite card. So WenSushi, he has informed us that his favorite card is none other than Leroy Jenkins. So therefore, Season 2 will be named Immortal Jenkins in honor of the RNG Prince. And yeah, of course, he's king now. Yeah, he kind of overthrew his dad. So it's a little bit of a weird situation we have here in Singapore, but we'll make do whatever we have. So yeah, we're going international. Season 2 is going to start whenever we have spec mode and when we have got our gear updated. In case you guys are wondering, eGTV is a ghetto setup. We don't have big funders. We are very humble people. So one way you can support us is by subscribing to our Twitch channel or purchasing this eHL limited edition T-shirt that we specially printed just for the fans. I hope this has been a very memorable journey to all the players and the viewers and people in C. If you want to play competitive Hearthstone, stay tuned because we have a lot more action coming up. And when I say a lot more action, eGTV is also going to bring you very exciting stuff. One of the more exciting stuff is, again, a new tournament. And before we go into eHL Season 2, in fact, we have a very exciting part to bring to you guys. And I have a nice little trailer here. It's created by us, so it's very ghetto. I know it looks very funny, but it's whatever we have to offer you. So I hope generally you guys think of it as a little bit of a good investment to some extent. And the fact that this is created by our own in-house people, it's generally not something that I would say it's a very industrial standard. But it's modest, it's good, and I do believe everybody should be able to enjoy this one here. So that's it. It's been a really long day, and I believe every single one, including the players, are kind of tired, and everyone's just waiting. So what about the little Razer keyboard you said you have, people? And I think we are going to do some prize presentation meanwhile and stuff like that. But before we go there, let me show you this short clip about our next event.